From Friday. A caller named Ryan called in. Ryan is kind enough to join us again today and to talk a little bit more about what exactly happened to him and the story that he told us on Friday. Ryan, are you with us right now?
I am. Hi.
Hey, Ryan. Thank you very much. Now, first of all, thank you. I want to make sure I say this. Facing personal demons is always a tough thing to do. It is not something that is easy, and especially when you're in a public spotlight, I can easily understand how a lot of people will shy away from something like this. I appreciate you taking some time and talking with us and sharing your personal story, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Let's recap once again what you told us on Friday in regards to you going to school at Egan High School in the late 1990s with the Republican nominee to be Attorney General for the state of Minnesota, Doug Wardlow.
Okay. I moved to Egan with my family in 7th grade, so I started with them in middle school. I came out rather early. I came out in 8th grade, and for the next year plus, I got a lot of harassment from multiple students, chief among them Doug Wardlow and his group of friends. It got bad to the point that early 10th grade, actually it's the 24th anniversary of it is this week, the day before NBA weekend, I attempted suicide. Ended up in the hospital for many months. And on my return to school, most people were a lot better to me. Doug greeted me with, "What, you couldn't even get that right?" And that's pretty much my experience with Doug Wardlow.
Well,
hasn't gotten any better since then.
You can tell from your story, once again, that what happened to you, whatever happened to you, it impacted you very strongly. I mean, that you still, I mean, when you say what you say, I have no doubt that's what you felt you heard back in when Wardlow talked to you, correct?
Yes.
There have been a few people who have backed up, not necessarily backed up your story. Your story is unique to yourself, but have said that they were in school as well, that either they are character witnesses for you, they vouch for your character, and that you wouldn't be making this story up, or people who have said, no, I saw Doug Wardlow tease other people. One person on Twitter saying that, he teased me, but not as bad as he teased Ryan. So there have been some people that have come forward as well. So far, I have yet to hear from anyone from Egan High School at that point saying, no. Doug Wardlow never teased anyone. I have not heard that side of it. I've only heard people that maybe not be backing up your story directly, but they have said that they trust you and that they had similar stories of bullying from Doug Wardlow.
That's good to hear. Not that he bullied other people, but there's people that remember that.
Well, of course not. It's not a good thing to be bullying people. I want to get into an interesting element that there's another story that broke over the weekend that is connected back to you. And I don't think a lot of people realize that it is connected back to you. The story was out that a former producer here at AM 950, William Davis, who now works for the DFL, had made an inappropriate comment on a social media post about a guillotine, and it would cross the line. Needless to say, the DFL has suspended William Davis for a week without pay. That was a story. That's not us breaking it. A lot of news outlets have broken the story. You pointed out that this story actually came from your social media feed.
Yeah, that was a post. The comment he made was on a post I shared, not realizing that after I shared the podcast from Friday so that my friends could share it, I marked it public, that it then set my default to public. So when I shared that joke, it was without the guillotine part of it. It was just the upcoming schedule, Halloween, Day of the Dead, election, take back your country. And he added his part to it in the comments. But I found it a little odd that the GOP or somebody there was watching my social media page. I'm nobody.
Well, and as a person that does get watched a lot, I can completely understand that. There is now. I'm going to be completely above board. After you shared your story, I shared your name and your last name and some contact information with various media outlets. I have been in touch with all of them. And they have all said that no one from their side contacted Wardlow's camp with your first and last name. So it did not come from the media per se. I did not contact Wardlow's campaign.
Well, that's good to know.
Well, it's yeah, it's like, I have a fruit basket for delivery. No, no, it was not. It was not. That was not me. Do you know who it was? Is there any name in particular that you can claim was the person who shared that social media post with the DFL? Was there anyone that did you know for sure it came from the GOP, the Minnesota GOP, Doug Wardlow's campaign? Is there any way that you can narrow that down a little bit, or no?
I saw one of the articles had a direct screenshot that was from my page because it had likes marked on it with my friends' names there. That was the only part they didn't cut off. My name was cut off at the top, and William's name was cut off at the bottom. But one of the articles specifically said that a spokesperson from the Wardlow campaign had made the complaint. Okay. But that's all I know.
Well, and that's relevant. Someone from the Wardlow campaign made a complaint to the DFL on a social media post from your social media page. Now, I want to reiterate once again, on Friday, we never shared your last name. So that is not something that could happen. So when was that screenshot taken? It was sometime in the next day, within 24 hours of you calling in on Friday, correct?
Yep. The only public posts I made were on Friday and Saturday. And then I realized that I was still marked public and went back to friends only.
Okay. So that was on Saturday. So within 24 hours, really probably within 12 to 16 hours of you being on my show, that someone from the Wardlow campaign had, it is somehow the Wardlow campaign made the formal complaint on this. And so it would imply very strongly that someone from the Wardlow campaign had been up on your social media page, correct?
That would be what I think. There's plenty of Ryans in our graduating class of 430-some people.
For God's sakes, it was the late 90s. Ryan was Smith. Okay, it was
pretty much.
It was a popular name. Okay, so what we're having to deal with here is this. I mean, because we can't say any definitives here. We can say it could be a wild circumstance, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. We can honestly say that someone could have heard this show, who knew you, who was friends with Doug Wardlow, and immediately contacted his campaign saying, "Guess who I heard on AM 950?" And they could have found out that way. That's a legit way you can put it out there. But there's also the argument that they could have been up. They knew exactly who you were immediately after you were on this interview, and immediately went to your social media pages immediately after it because they knew exactly who you were because they knew the story internally. There's that option as well. I don't know which one's true. It just is there does seem to be a very interesting coincidence that the Wardlow campaign made the complaint to the DFL via a social media post from your page after you shared the Wardlow story on Friday.
Yeah, personally, I'm going with Occam's razor on this.
Okay. I want to ask you, and once again, have you heard directly from the Wardlow campaign? Yes or no?
I have not.
All right.
No.
And you do not know we cannot say definitively whether the Wardlow campaign was the ones that discovered this social media post, which ended up in the complaint against William Davis. We just know that the complaint, the news story said the complaint originated from Wardlow's staff. Correct?
Correct.
All right. All right, I have to ask this question, and I want and this is just straightforward. I want your honest answer on this. Let's say Doug Wardlow got in touch with you either publicly or privately and said, Ryan, we are different people in high school. I was kind of a jerk. I know I was kind of a jerk. I said a lot of things I shouldn't have said. I said a lot of things which were probably out of line. I'm sorry. I should not have said those things. I'm a different man today. I do apologize. If he would come and say something like that to you, would that ease things up for you? How would you feel at that point?
It would depend on if he's also a different man than he was when he made the lawsuits and motions for the ADS. He continued to be as anti-gay and anti-trans as ever. As far as I can see the rest of his adult life. So the apology for how far he went, that would mean something. calling himself a different person, I don't think I could believe that.
So I want to make sure we do say this. You are to a point saying because let's look at this as a personal and your personal politics, two separate things. Personally, you are saying that, yeah, if he did come to you, say privately and say, I'm really sorry, because, hey, I went to my 20th high school reunion. I ran into people that were horrible bullies back then. I mean, it was a Dinah in the Reagan 80s. Dear Lord. And I mean, they were all they were all like the bad guys in movies back then. They really were. But you run there, and more than a few of them said, yeah, I was trying to please everyone. I was trying to please my parents. I was misguided. I was wrong. I mean, there are people that do that. So it does sound like that there was some personal admonishment for behavior that you experienced. If he was to come to you and say, I'm sorry, I don't remember what you said, but I'm sorry, I mean, I'm a different person today, that on a personal level, that actually would mean something to you.
Yeah, so I mean, literally every person that was horrible to me then, except Doug Wardlow and one of his closest friends then, has apologized to me since. One actually apologized to me by running into me at Pride. He's since come out. Mm-hmm. He was more or less, backed himself into a corner with friends like that and had to act like he did. And people do change. That can happen, but from what I've seen, I don't know that he really has. Well,
and then there's the personal politics side, which is basically you are very concerned, as a lot of people are, as they should be, that his legal career points to basically an organization that proudly says our goal is to basically legislate from the bench, and that we don't have to win houses and senates and governor's offices. We're going to basically force legislation down the legislative and the executive branch through the judicial branch, and that's the organization he worked for. And once again, I'm not saying, I mean, I hope you can understand, Ryan, I have to be an observer. We're going to let you speak your story here. You want to come on the air, you want to speak your story. I'm not sure what is real, what is not. That is why we have said here, well, this might be worthy of an investigation, or at least someone asking questions, or if other people have had stories that they can share, that they feel like they want to share, by all means, we're open right now, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. And so as the story is yours as an individual, the reality is it brings up a question of, should we have a potential bully as the Attorney General? And that's a question that we need to ask. And I think that that's an important one to ask.
I appreciate that. I mean, as news and journalism, staying unbiased and neutral is your job. It's not something a lot of journalists seem to stick with all that much anymore, and I appreciate it when you do.
Well, I'm not a journalist. I'm a trained chimp, and I mean I'm a talk show host, and so I mean but I will say this. I mean, there are some journalists I have talked to about this, and maybe they might be in touch to ask you more.
I've had a few in touch.
All right, you have had a few in touch. I will leave it at that. And Ryan, I appreciate the time. If you do if you do hear something from the Wardlow camp, you're more than welcome to get in touch with us. Let us know what that is. And I appreciate you giving us the update on things that have happened since Friday. So thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
All right. Ryan giving us a call once again.